So today's topic, I kind of want to have some coffee with you and chat about long distance relationships. I want to share our story as well as our top 8 tips for surviving in a long distance relationship. This video is sponsored today by Ana Luisa Jewelry, and I have fallen in love with this jewelry. They have the best dainty gold pieces. I wear them every day. They don't fade or anything like that. I layer them. I'm planning on buying even more sets to layer even more. Their earrings, their little gold hoop earrings, are just so pretty, and they have so much more on their website. I love their rings. My fingers are really tiny, so they actually go down to my size, but they also have these nice adjustable rings as well, and just dainty bracelets and everything. Absolutely loved working with them. Love wearing their jewelry every single day. It's definitely in my favorite jewelry category. And if you use Cheers to Adventure 10, you get 10% off your order. I highly recommend buying this jewelry. Okay, so let's get into the bulk of today's video. And of course, my partner in my long distance relationship, Matt, will be helping with the tips because it is a joint effort. It's not easy. Can't do it alone, obviously. When we were trying to list the hardest parts of a long distance relationship, it got me thinking of how the challenges really depended on where I was in my life and where you are in your life. From personal experience, who I was when we started our long distance journey was vastly different than who I was even halfway through. When we started 12 years ago, I still had one more year in high school. Matt, being a little older than me, was a college student. I was insecure at this point and had no concept of what Matt was going through. My mind often drifted to the worst scenarios. This part was very challenging when it came to building trust, but also very important when it came to building trust. Then I graduated high school and became a college student myself. This stretched the distance between us and some of the challenges. We each had very busy lives away from one another. We had our schoolwork, were in Greek life, extracurriculars, had jobs, and social lives. That trust we had to build, this was the most important in this stage. We also didn't have iPhones at this point in our life and didn't have FaceTime. We had Skype and something called Uvu. After 2 years, Matt graduated college and entered the working world of accountants, with a busy season, which limited visits and trips during this time. The challenge here was our worlds were completely different. Another 2 years later, and I graduated college to be accepted to a rotational program, moving to different spots in the country for 8 months at a time. We didn't want to have Matt stop his career every 8 months, so we stayed long distance until my position was permanent. My first stop was all the way to Louisiana, 1,400 miles away, and a definite plane ride. My second location was a little closer, in South Carolina, a possible but dreadful 13-hour drive away. During this time, Matt was able to transfer within his company to Charlotte, North Carolina, which closed the gap between us to 1 hour and 15 minutes. Finally, I ended up with a permanent position, also in Charlotte, where our long distance ended. So what we want to do is keep our advice a little broad and share what we think can hopefully help anyone in a long distance relationship experience. Tip number 1. Know each other's schedules and build in time for talking or virtual date. Again, with the advice of being flexible, understanding that busy schedules happen and things could change, but always have something to look forward to or a time to look forward to when you can talk.
For tip number 2, people are going to judge. They're not going to understand your relationship all the time. Do whatever you think is best and whatever is best for the relationship.
Tip number 3 is to not fight in front of family and friends. You don't want outside people who don't see the good in your relationship to only see the bad, because you are at a distance. So you don't need any negative comments or opinions on your relationship when they don't understand what's going on. This is a big tip, is to not let other friends or family see when you're having fights.
Tip number 4, relationships require sacrifice, especially when there's distance involved. You will have to give up things such as parties, events, weekend. Both parties are sacrificing and there's no grudges building. I think it's important.
Tip number 5, include your significant other with your friend groups when they visit. You don't have to schedule all your time to spend with your friends, but it is nice that they get to know the people you're spending your time with and get to feel included with your group of friends.
Right. Tip number 6, try to understand where your significant other is coming from. Emotions can be a wild roller coaster, and sometimes fights can happen out of nowhere, but it's important to try to think what they are thinking, why they are thinking that, because nobody likes fighting, and fighting long distance is even worse. So just try to understand their point of view.
Tip number 7, have an end time frame in mind. You don't have to have an exact end date planned, but it was nice to know that once we graduated college, when I found a permanent position in my job, he was going to move wherever I ended up and the long distance was going to end. So it is nice to have an end goal, an end time frame to look forward to.
Right, the light at the end of the tunnel. Tip number 8, it's important to grow individually as you grow together. And I can't stress that enough, that while you're both away or when you're in separate areas, you're going to want to try new things. You're going to try to experience as much as you can in college or wherever you are, work distance, and encourage your significant other to try new things, meet new people. Encouragement builds a strong relationship. You don't want to be the person who discourages somebody, especially when you're far away from each other.
You have a lot of people who have been through long distance relationships. It's not easy, but it was
it's not
worth
for
it.
everybody either, and know what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
If you can't do it,
If you don't want to
be
do
honest.
it, don't do it.
It's hard, but it's
So-
worth it. It's very worth it.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Remember, there's a discount code link for the jewelry, Ana Luisa Jewelry. Very cute jewelry
It is
below.
nice.
And check it out.